Hey y'all, so tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about Elizabeth Warren's path forward. Listen, I'm not making predictions. I'm not giving campaign strategy. I'm just going to look at the data and give you what I think might be some scenarios she is considering going forward after a pretty disappointing finish in New Hampshire and in Iowa. I do have to start off with one I told you so, though. And I'm going to try to not be my normal super shady self. I'll try to be a little bit more sensitive in this video. But I do have to say I told you so because haven't I been telling y'all that Elizabeth Warren was having money issues and that in order to be viable, you need money? I've been saying that. I've been saying that specifically about Elizabeth Warren and Joe Biden. But let's talk about Elizabeth Warren right now. Within the past hour or so, Elizabeth Warren videoed or recorded a video message to her followers asking for $7 million in the next 11 days before Nevada. She wants to raise $7 million for Nevada. Now, she's saying that the $7 million is critical funds. That's a key word. And she's saying that she needs this money to be competitive through Super Tuesday. $7 million. I mean, that's like payroll. That might be some ads. That's not a whole lot of money, though. Not a lot of money. Now, she says she's raised $5 million since Iowa. But this is going to be a completely different ball game we're entering in terms of how you're going to be competitive than the amount of money that you're going to need. Interestingly enough, she's still throwing shade about these big donor fundraisers. Big donor fundraisers don't sound that bad now, does it, Liz? I mean, I don't understand the purity test when Michael goddamn Bloomberg is out there writing checks for $200 million. But okay, no wine caves for you, Liz. So she needs money and she needs it fast. Now, she's supposedly doing some sort of joint appearance with Bernie Sanders tonight. I would hope she wouldn't ask for $7 million just to turn around and drop out. So I'm going to put that on the back burner as a possible prediction. But let me just game out a couple of scenarios, okay? I'm going to walk through some data, and then I'm going to give you my opinion. Now, you might not come to the same opinion that I come to based on the data that I give you, and that's fine. Nobody said that you had to. But this is what my opinion is. So let's start off with some very high-level stuff. Forecast. I've been giving you guys, if you're used to it by now, the 538 primary forecast. It has been fluid. And it has been pretty much bad news, increasingly bad news for Elizabeth Warren. Now, Elizabeth Warren is a little bit different than what you guys try to say about Joe Biden. Black voters, black voters, black voters. Joe Biden and the black voters. They need to have their say. Well, Elizabeth Warren doesn't have any particular strength with black voters or with minority voters. Her strength is primarily in college-educated, liberal, wealthy people. So that's not going to help her out. So, based on the 538 forecast, Elizabeth Warren at this point, this is a forecast, it's not polling averages. She has a 1 in 30 chance of winning a majority of pledged delegates in order to secure the nomination on the first ballot at the convention. That's 3%. Now, for perspective, she has now moved behind Michael Bloomberg, Pete Buttigieg. Okay, before when I started doing these longer form videos, Elizabeth Warren was in 3rd place. Now she's in 5th place. And I think she was around 10% chance. Now she's in 3%. Bernie Sanders is 36%. He's in 1st place. Now, this is interesting. I'm not doing a full state of the race recap. I'm only going to focus on Elizabeth Warren, but this is worth saying that the odds of nobody securing more than half pledged delegates is now 36%, 1 in 3. Now, haven't I been telling y'all that we are potentially going to a brokered convention? Yes, I have. You might not remember, but I've been saying it, and I have receipts. So there are much significantly greater odds of nobody winning the pledged delegates needed to be the nominee compared to Elizabeth Warren. So Elizabeth Warren's forecasted chance does not look good. Just does not look good. On average, in these forecasted outcomes, the simulation, she's expected to get 343 pledged delegates. So that's going to factor into my analysis. Okay? Because one of the things that I have been saying that's a plus for Elizabeth Warren, even though I have pretty much figured out much earlier than everybody else did, that Elizabeth Warren probably doesn't have a path to the nomination as the presidential nominee. But I figured that she does have a path to the vice presidential slot, because I expected her to do well enough to have enough delegates to leverage. She was, at some point, she was in the 700 range of forecasted delegates. And when you pair that up with a Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders, that's more than enough to get you over the top. And nobody else was in that even range to offer up delegates. So I figured that Elizabeth Warren had particular strength because she would have delegate leverage. Well, it's looking increasingly unlikely that she's going to have delegate leverage, because she's not looking like she's going to be all that competitive. Now, I'm going to throw Elizabeth Warren a bone, because she put out this memo to her supporters. I didn't get the memo, but I read the New York Times article, and I read through what they said. And she has her own delegate projection. So they looked at 165 congressional districts. Now, remember what I said to you guys before when I was talking about New Hampshire. And most places, delegates are awarded by congressional district, and they're awarded at the at-large statewide level, right? So she's saying that she thinks that she will be she will meet the viability threshold. Now, remember, you have to have a 15% threshold or viability in each individual district. So you could potentially be at 15% statewide. That's not going to help you for your individual district. Okay, you have to meet this threshold at every single competition. So she thinks she's going to be competitive in 65% of those. She's going to meet the threshold. Now, according to her own memo, as reported by the New York Times, she believes that Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders will be meeting the thresholds in 96 to 98% of those districts. So, do the math. If you're only at 65% viability, or if you're only viable 65% of the time, somebody else is viable 98% of the time, you're probably not gonna win, right? I mean, that doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out. I pointed this out already. She also believes that, this is, again, reading from her memo, as reported in the New York Times, that she's poised to finish in the top 2 in over half of Super Tuesday states, 8 out of 14 states. She thinks she's going to finish in the top 2. And she thinks in all of the states, she will be in the top 3. Now, we don't have the data that's behind this. At least I don't have it. Maybe somebody else has it. And she believes that she's on pace to pick up at-large state delegates in all but one. So to me, that says that she thinks she's going to be above 15% in 13 out of 14 states. So she might have some internal polling to suggest that. Just rattle off the states that are Super Tuesday. It's Alabama, Arkansas, American Samoa, California, Colorado, Democrats abroad, Massachusetts, Maine, Minnesota, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, Vermont. Those are the states. Now, all states are not created equal. I don't mean that in a pejorative way. That's just a fact. Some of these states have much bigger contests than others. For instance, obviously, California is a big prize, 415 delegates. North Carolina has 110. Massachusetts, which is commonly, Elizabeth Warren's backyard has 91. Virginia has more than that, though, at 99. Texas has 228. So there are, some of these contests, like, for instance, she's on the air in Maine. Maine has 24 delegates. So that's not going to do you a whole lot of good. And it has 2 congressional districts and 2 delegates. 2 congressional delegates, 2 congressional districts, and it has 24 delegates in total. Michael Bloomberg is up on air in Maine. So, she took her ad money. This was reported today. She took her ad money away from Nevada and from South Carolina and put it into Maine, which has 24 delegates. So I'm thinking maybe she's trying to go for some moral victories, focusing on some states that aren't contested as much, try to say, well, we want X number of contests. Because so far, she hasn't won any states. So before she bows out, she might want to just say, I won a state. I won 2 states. I won 3 states or whatever. I noticed that she isn't forecasting that she's going to win any of these states. That's an interesting thing that was omitted. Maybe that was in her memo and it just didn't make it into the New York Times article. But yeah. It didn't say, it just said top 2 or top 3. So that's an important piece of data. All right, so let me see. Currently, she is polling aggregate level. Let me pull it up. Hold on there. 12.8%. That's her national polling average. She is now in 4th place behind Michael Bloomberg. So that's that on that. This is the thing. I am not trying to be an asshole. I'm just telling y'all the facts. Don't shoot the goddamn messenger, jab. If you can, it don't matter to me. I'll shoot back. But I'm just trying to tell you guys what the facts are. This is what the data is saying. What could you possibly foresee happening that is going to create an Elizabeth Warren surge? What favors Elizabeth Warren that doesn't favor any other candidate? What unique situations can happen? I can't actually conceive of not even one. Okay, I can't conceive of even one of them. Maybe Obama endorsing her. That's not going to happen. So she's been polling in more recent national polling. She's 15% in The Economist that came out, I presume maybe today. That's good. That's 3rd place. That's a little bit ahead of Bloomberg. But in other polls, she's been 9, 13, 14, 11. So she's declining. So now, what do I think Liz could potentially do? Well, Liz is low on money. She's going to try to raise the money. If she doesn't, then she's pretty much telling you that she's going to not be viable by even Nevada. Okay. Now, she said she wants to raise this money to make it through Super Tuesday, but the deadline being by Nevada says that she could potentially say, all right, let me see. I'll try to hang on there until Nevada. Nevada is Saturday the 22nd. And if I overperform, if I win, whatever the situation may be, then that might give me another boost, right? But if I don't, then I predict she'd probably drop out after Nevada. If she does not finish very well in Nevada, then she's gonna need to drop out. Now, the aggregate data in Nevada, there's not a lot of polling data. It's a caucus state. It's hard to poll, from what people like to point out. But right now, at the polling average, in the most recent poll that I see here, this is on 270 to win, she's polling at 11%. Now, this is an interesting state because it's a caucus state. They're doing early voting in a couple of days, and then on the early vote ballot, you do your kind of like a ranked choice thing. So perhaps she would pick up some support on ranked choice voting or in the caucus or whatever. But I don't see a surge happening there unless she can really, 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 really pull a trick out of her hat. Now, she had a really large ground game in Iowa. She had one of the largest staffs in there. The staff had been in, every county, they had stuff. They had all these offices. They had been organizing. And I had read coverage about how at all of her events, then people are like, they come on you with the commit to caucus card. So she was very, very, very well organized in Iowa, and she still placed in 3rd. So she's not poised to surge. So, okay, this is what her options are. Okay, I know, you're like, bitch, get to the fucking point. 16 minutes in. She has a couple options. She can, like I said, she could try to raise the money that she needs for Nevada, and hope and pray she can pull off a victory there, despite the fact that even with her really, really good organizing in Iowa, she wasn't able to pull off a victory in Iowa. And she was quite a bit behind. She was 8 points behind Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg. Or what she can do is she can drop out relatively immediately. And if she drops out, that spares her the embarrassment of another loss. Now, the problem with dropping out right now is the last thing on her record is a 0 delegate loss, blowout loss. So she might want to go to Nevada, hope that she can at least be viable to get some kind of delegates and, try to save face a little bit. But I don't know if you can really save face at this point as much the more that you go on. And I think Kamala Harris figured that out. She saw the writing on the wall. She said, look, I don't have the money to compete. I'm not going to go out there and beg my motherfucking ass off for some money. I'm not going to sit up here and set myself up to where I have one arm tied behind my back because I don't have the money to be competitive. So she dropped out. That was the right move. That was the right move because the very next day, Michael Bloomberg dropped $40 million on some ads and his ads are working. There's more to it than that, but I don't get into that because this is a video about Elizabeth Warren. So, does Elizabeth Warren save face? Because the more losses that she racks up, the less leverage that she has, the less influence that she has. She's just becomes a person who just is a big time loser. So, she's not going to be a kingmaker if she does that. She's not going to have any leverage for like a VP slot, in particular on a Bernie Sanders ticket, because she's already been rejected. That's basically what it boils down to. I'm sorry. That might sound harsh, but if you've gone through, like she said, there's 16 contests on Super Tuesday, plus by that point, so you would have had 20 out of however many contests there are. I think it's like 50 something. And you've not done that well in all of them, then how the hell you say, well, put me on the ticket, I'll be an asset? No, you probably won't. And so what she needs to do is she'll probably want to drop out before she racks up more losses. She's definitely not going to be remotely competitive in South Carolina. She's already, conceded that by cutting back in South Carolina. So does she want to save face? That's question number one. If she wants to save face, she drops out. If she gets some money quickly, then maybe she just, labors on until Nevada and drops out after Nevada. Or she might really be like, look, balls to the walls. As long as I got some money, bitches, I'm in this joint. That's going to be a very humiliating outcome for her. So I would think that she has a little bit more pride than that. But maybe she doesn't. Maybe she wants to do like Bernie Sanders. He was like, hell no, we're going to every goddamn contest. I want all my delegates counted on the convention floor. I think that Elizabeth Warren is a little bit more pragmatic than that. That's not a vote of confidence. That's just, I would imagine that she's a little bit more pragmatic than that. So, I think that I don't see that as a likely scenario of her just like, okay, I'm going to keep going and keep going and keep going. I'm going to keep losing and losing and losing and losing. Now, if she gets the money and she does okay on Nevada, then maybe she goes on ahead and at least, hobbles through Super Tuesday. I don't think she's going to get enough money to be competitive in Super Tuesday. Like she said, this was critical funds that she needs. Critical funds is not competitive funds. Critical funds is making payroll and maybe doing some ads. That's what critical funds is, doing some events, some ads, and payroll. That's what you get for critical funds for $7 million share. So yeah, I think that she's kind of hobbling through at this point. Now, she drops out, then what, right? So it depends. Because at this point, Bernie Sanders is the motherfucking front runner. As much I hate saying that. Nobody listen to me. I said, is anybody gonna run against Bernie Sanders, or y'all just gonna let this motherfucker want his ass in nomination? But he is the front runner. So, what does she do when it comes to endorsing Bernie Sanders? Does she just endorse him, or does she make a deal? I mean, I think that Elizabeth Warren being VP is not a bad move for her. What else she gonna do? Be in the Senate and do what? Some people suggest Treasury Secretary, something like that. I think she'd take VP before she'd take Treasury Secretary. Because she probably still wants to be president, right? So she probably will make calculation, well, who's ever gone from Treasury Secretary to goddamn president? Pretty much nobody. I don't know. Y'all might say I'm wrong. I don't know. I'd imagine it's nobody. So if she wants to be VP and she wants leverage. When does she have the most leverage? Right now is when she has the most leverage. I don't think she's going to pick up enough delegates to have delegate leverage. So you have to have leverage when there's high interest in you. You haven't been put in the trash heap. And there's high interest where you come across as a unity person. When you come across as being gracious. Not like you was just like beat down and out to get the hell out. And so that can be good for her. She'd be a good surrogate for Bernie Sanders. They can cover more ground. She can get a head start for Bernie Sanders in Super Tuesday states while he's focused on Nevada and South Carolina, or just Nevada, whatever. So for maximum impact, Elizabeth Warren drops out now. Now y'all don't shoot the messenger. I'm just a player in the game. Elizabeth Warren's going to have to follow her heart on this one, okay? But maximum impact is right now. Not after another 2, 3, 4, 5, 16 losses. So we'll see if she does that. Massachusetts has a big pot, 91 delegates. So she could be helpful to Bernie Sanders there if she endorses him before Super Tuesday. She's doing pretty well. That's one place she's doing well and is in California. She can be very helpful to not be a spoiler for Bernie in California. So there are places where she can really be helpful prior to Super Tuesday. If she makes a deal. She might say, fuck making a deal. I'm going to hold out and see what happens. She did that before. She didn't endorse Hillary right away. She didn't endorse Bernie Sanders. She held out as long as possible. And y'all remember that article on her and Hillary Clinton, how she kept her hands in the pot? Oh, look at this person, look at that person, talk shit about their policies and stuff like that. So that's also a very real possibility that she gets out and she just doesn't do anything, because this could potentially go to a broker convention. And so if it goes to a broker convention, does she want to have her eggs in one basket, a Bernie basket? No. Why would she want to do that? So I could see her dropping out relatively soon, but holding off on an endorsement. Maybe till after Super Tuesday. So the question boils down to, I don't have the answer, Sway. Like I said, I don't have any predictions. I'm just gaming out different scenarios as to when Elizabeth Warren's impact would be highest when she drops out. She just does not have a path to the nomination. She does not at this point, especially when you don't have money. When you're begging for money on Twitter, you don't have a path. That's unfortunate for people who really support her. They're going to be heartbroken, but it is what it is. So what does she do? That's the question. And I think I might have given you guys some food for thought, without being too much of an asshole. All right, that was nice tonight. Y'all gonna be like, oh my God, this video is so dry. You wasn't talking as much shit. You wasn't doing all your shade. Listen, I don't have to be an asshole all the time. Okay, this is a somber occasion. I'm trying to help, you guys understand where Liz is potentially going to go from here. So that's that on that. Cheers. Have a good night.